Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Spirit of Justice. Previously, the days seemed to be one. Apollo uncovered the truth of the sacred orb, revealing the visage of the Holy Mother of Khura'in, which is quite blasphemic, if you can believe it, because seeing the Holy Mother's face is a big no-no. Nevertheless, it seemed to prove to the court that it was indeed the sacred orb, but unfortunately, Paul Addison here reminded Phoenix of a little chat they had. I think this guy's blackmailing him, and to that end Phoenix came up with some bullcrap about, "Nuh-uh, that can't be the sacred orb because it has to bestow great spiritual power, and you revealed the secret and it didn't do that to you, so it's not that." And now we have Addison taking the stand, and I'm pretty sure he's about to dig his own grave and lead to a guilty verdict for murder, so that's nice. Let's continue, shall we? It was around 11 at night, and I was out on a mobile meet and greet around the village.
Hold it!
You were on a so-called mobile meet and greet at 11 at night? That's right. It's the perfect time because everyone is at home. You should have seen how the villagers' eyes teared up when they heard what I had to say. With tears of frustration, no doubt. Yeah, if someone rang my doorbell or knocked on my door at 11 at night, I would commit crimes. You weren't riding around in your palanquin. That's right. Some village idiot reported me to the police. I've been banned from using it after dark. No wonder, what with all the noise he makes. So what exactly did you see then? That's when I saw Dr. Buff being murdered from outside his study window.
Hold it!
Sounds like you witnessed something rather shocking. Indeed, I didn't even believe it at first. I mean, a vicious murder in Khura'in? Awkward cough. There haven't been many murders there, I take it. If I'm elected, I promise you that such a terrible tragedy will never happen again. A vote for me is a vote to banish murder forever from our beloved Khura'in village. Yeah, good luck with that. Mr. Addison Wimberson, please tell the court what you saw at the scene of the crime. Mr. Arable snuck up from behind and struck him on the head.
Hold it!
He snuck up from behind? So you're saying the doctor never even realized Mr. Arable was there? That's right. He was utterly absorbed in a book. I see. What did you see Mr. Arable do next? He climbed up the bookshelf ladder and dumped a bunch of books down on the body. I believe he was trying to make it look like an accident. But that idiot didn't realize I could see everything from outside the window. One of those statements doesn't feel right. Your Honor, I believe the witness made an important statement just now about how... about how Dance is an idiot? Well, okay, so I think... Yeah, the statement, There was supposed to be a loud shouting match argument. But... I think that was before Dats was kicked out of the house. And I think, Paul's statements is that this must have happened after that. So maybe not... Maybe my train of thought was not correct at first. Stained with coffee. You know, it hasn't come up yet in court. I don't think we have ever brought up the coffee-stained book. Maybe the doctor was in the midst of... Ah, yeah. Okay, what if the doctor was in the midst of brewing coffee? And then, if we prove that, we would be able to say that the victim was standing at the coffee bar when he was slugged in the head. And then we could say Paul Addison Wimperson could not have seen that through the window because the giant statue is in the way. Therefore, he must have been in the room. Therefore, he must have been the killer. Ah. Tell me more about this book. The doctor was reading a book at the time of the murder. That's vital testimony. Actually, I saw an option there that said, having seen the murder, but maybe we'll come back to that. Very well, the witness will please add that statement to his testimony. Okay, how are you gonna phrase this? The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book. That's just about what I wanted him to say, but now that I'm actually looking at it... trying to say that, hey, the murder weapon book had coffee stains on it means he was standing somewhere else is pretty dang flimsy. Oh, hello. The doctor's poor eyesight meant he couldn't read anything without these that were found on his desk. That's it. That's it. We could say that he wasn't reading. Because they were on his desk. He left them on his desk so he couldn't have been reading. Addison is bullshitting. That's the answer. But I still want to press everything just to see the content, you know?
Hold it!
You watched a murderer commit his crime and did nothing to stop it? That doesn't sound like a good way to score points with the voting public. I'm a politician, not a superhero. I'm under no obligation to risk life and limb. He sure is quick to deny his obligations when there's nothing in it for him. I'm getting tired of listening to his endless campaigning and flimsy rationalizations. About your testimony, Mr. Addison Wimperson. You said Mr. Arable struck the doctor from behind while he was absorbed in a book. Yes, that's exactly what happened. His weapon of choice, a suitcase.
Hold it!
Are you sure? Positive. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Yet, despite your certainty, you kept quiet about it until now. No, I was waiting. I knew there would be a perfect chance to talk about it later. Information must always be disclosed in a strategic manner. That is one of the lessons of kingcraft as taught by the Addison clan. Is there a lesson, by chance, in the Addison Kingcraft guidebook on being honest? Anyway, I saw Mr. Arable commit that heinous crime. A big, strong man like him could easily swing a heavy suitcase into someone's head.
Hold it!
I would have to agree that suitcase is really heavy. Wait a second. How did you know it was so heavy? For all you knew, it could have been empty.
Objection!
My client witnessed the crime in progress, so naturally he saw Mr. Arable straining to lift what was obviously a heavy suitcase. I can't say I'm a fan of you trying to discredit my client by tripping him up, Mr. Justice. But I'm just doing what you always do, Mr. Wright. Yeah, this is unlike Phoenix. Phoenix wants the truth above all else, but he's definitely being coerced. Have to take that into account. Dr. Buff was struck from behind while he was absorbed in a book. He must have been really into it. Huh. It doesn't add up. What doesn't? That Paul Addison is lying. I'm sure of it. Alright, here we go. Absorbed in a book, you say. How?
Objection!
The doctor was standing in front of the bookshelves, absorbed in a book, you say. I'm sorry, but it seems your testimony is completely unreliable. That's quite a bold statement. Well, let's hear you back it up. I challenge you to prove that I am anything but 100% reliable. It would be my pleasure. Lately, it seems the doctor's eyes had gotten so bad he needed reading glasses. However, his reading glasses were over on his desk. So you see, there's no way he could have been reading in front of the bookshelves. I'm sorry, Mr. Addison Wimperson, but I'm going to have to ask you to explain this discrepancy to the voting public. You what? I'll explain it, you lowly cur. I simply made a mistake, you see. The doctor was actually sitting at his desk when Mr. Arable hit him over the head. But then the doctor would have been facing him. Surely he would have seen him and tried to run. Dr. Buff was nodding off. I could tell because his eyes were closed and he wasn't moving. Sounds more like what you would do. Then, how do you explain the fact that he was struck in the back of the head? Isn't that something that should be impossible from the front of the desk? Oh, about that. He bowed his head when he nodded off. That's when he was clobbered.
So that's what you saw. Well, Mr. Justice, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable explanation to me. Do you have a problem with the proposal that the doctor was struck while nodding off?
Maybe we can say he had just brewed some coffee. Maybe we can say he had just brewed some coffee. That is directly against the concept of nodding off, after all. Ooh. Well, no matter what, I think we have to say it's a big problem, otherwise we lose. There is a problem, a very big problem. The witness's statement doesn't hold up under the slightest bit of scrutiny.
Is that so? Then, will you please show this court what evidence you have to justify this?
Gladly, Your Honor. This shows a problem with the witness's claim that he saw the doctor nodding off. All right. Look, so stained with coffee. That's proof that the liquid drink coffee was present on the scene, ergo, he must have been drinking coffee. Right?
Take that!
Really? Damn. Okay. This shows a glaring problem with the witness's statement. See? The witness has passed out from the overwhelming power of my evidence. No, Mr. Justice, your lackadaisical attempt to refute him put my client to sleep, that's all.
I feel a yawn coming on myself. Perhaps giving you this penalty will wake me up.
Surely there are better ways to stay awake, Your Honor. Apollo, think about the relative positions of the witness and the doctor again. Right, that's where we'll find the contradiction. The positions?
Well, Mr. Justice, see that you avoid these snooze-inducing answers in the future.
Positions. So he's trying to say the doctor was in his chair with his back to the wall, snoozing away in the desk. His head drooped and then got brained. I mean, I guess you could say that you couldn't reach, but... Oh. Right. Yeah, you can't see the desk from the window. Okay. Is it that one that I show? That diagram? Yeah, it's gotta be.
Take that!
A diagram of the study.
Mr. Addison Wimperson allegedly viewed the murder from here. And the doctor was allegedly nodding off here. But from his vantage point, the bookcase would have blocked the witness's line of sight.
Why, yes, I believe you're right.
But... Ah!
Objection!
The fact remains my client knew that the suitcase was the murder weapon. So he definitely had first-hand knowledge of the crime scene. You don't say. I'm afraid I have to agree with you there, Mr. Wright. But then we have to ask ourselves, from what vantage point did he see the murder? What are you insinuating, Mr. Justice? From what vantage point could Mr. Addison Wimperson have seen the dozing doctor? Once we determine that, I believe we'll finally see the truth behind this incident. The witness saw the murder from right here. Here-ish, I guess.
Take that!
You've got to be kidding.
But that's...
It is indeed, but everything only makes sense if the witness was there in the study. Inside the study? But that's the scene of the crime. I know. Mr. Addison Wimperson, the man who claims to be a witness to the murder, was most certainly in that very room. Apollo, are you suggesting... Mr. Addison Wimperson, weren't you the one who actually swung that suitcase? Gah!
Objection!
What you're proposing is ludicrous. My client is a small, thin man, whereas Mr. Arable has the musculature to pull it off. He has a point. I gave up trying to lift that thing after one go. That's right. He's the only one who could have lifted such a heavy object. Now do you understand? The rebel Dats Arable is the doctor's killer. As long as the suitcase is the murder weapon, the suspicion falls entirely on Dats. You'll have to poke a hole in Mr. Wright's argument somehow, Apollo. Oh, I will. With his own technique, no less. If Mr. Addison Wimperson couldn't swing the suitcase around, we'll just have to consider another way he could have used it as a murder weapon instead. I'm going to turn this case on its head, Mr. Wright, just like you taught me. Oh, idea? I have an idea. You talk big, Mr. Justice, but do you have what it takes?
Well, this should be interesting.
Mr. Addison Wimperson's testimony has been filled with one inaccuracy after another. First he stated that Dr. Buff was in front of the bookshelves. Now he claims that the doctor was sitting at his desk. So where was the victim really when he was killed? Also, where was his killer, and how was the murder weapon really used?
So the important thing here is the position of the victim and the killer relative to each other.
Yes, okay, I like this. Yes, Your Honor. If they were positioned in a certain way, it would be possible to use the suitcase as a weapon without lifting a finger. You can't mean. I would ask the court to recall the study's layout. It's quite distinctive, as you can see. Now, if Dr. Buff were sitting in a certain spot and his killer was at a certain other spot, the suitcase would become a weapon anyone could use.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Where was Dr. Buff's killer at the time of the crime?
Right here, on the upper floor. Just had to push the suitcase off at the person sitting at the coffee bar. Let's go with here.
Take that!
There!
Oh, that's... This should wrap things up nice and pretty for you, Mr. Wright. I would ask the court to recall the study's layout. But this time, instead of thinking in 2 dimensions, let's think in 3. Only then can we clearly see the killer's method at work. Whoa! The killer didn't have to swing the suitcase. If he used gravity to his advantage, that is. That's right. It was the plaintiff, one Paul Addison Wimperson, who used the suitcase. He pushed it from the 2nd floor and sent it hurtling down onto Dr. Buff, who was sitting at the coffee bar. Yarg! My psychology book had been at the coffee bar, no doubt. The doctor must have set it down there after he'd finished reading it or the like. Well, what about the glasses? But his blood got on it, which is why the killer thought to hide it in that mountain of books.
Objection!
That's quite an entertaining theory you have there, Mr. Justice. But there's no evidence that the murder took place at the coffee bar. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Wright. I'd say that evidence of the murder occurring at the coffee bar exists. Finally, this is where I use it. The evidence does exist, and I'm going to show you. You are? This right here is proof that the murder took place at the coffee bar. Boop.
Take that!
This brown stain was determined to be coffee. What's more, it was still a bit damp when we saw it yesterday morning. One look at this book speaks volumes, I'm afraid, Mr. Wright. Oh. Now that's a good pun. That's a real nice one. That pun is classy. It has a dignity to it. Unlike some puns I could mention. It tells us the doctor was having a cup of coffee at the coffee bar. That's when the suitcase came hurtling down, striking him on the head, causing both his blood and his coffee to spatter onto it. Well, Mr. Addison Wimperson? What motive could I have possibly had to kill Dr. Buff? And there it is, that final excuse cornered killers are so fond of. Well, the doctor never returned your crystal to you, did he? Instead, he hid it in the cave ruins. Telling him that the Defiant Dragons were a dangerous bunch was a huge blunder. All it did was make him hide the orb. Your lie came back to bite you in the end. Even worse, the doctor saw the news reports, so he knew the relic was the Founder's orb. Being the conscientious researcher he was, he knew he had to return it to its rightful place. And that meant keeping it out of your hands. You were so angry that he refused to return the relic to you that you killed him with your own hands. Isn't that right, Mr. Addison Wimperson? Narg! That is... Ooh. Apollo, don't. Please don't accuse my client of murder. Oh no. I feared it would come to this. Oh no. Oh, what's going on, Phoenix? Huh? What do you mean, don't accuse him? I would even say that, Mr. Wright. What I meant was, he's a promising politician with a bright future ahead of him. It's in our nation's best interest to avoid burdening him with the taint of scandal. Say what? More tape, yeah! Right, you'd better do something to change the current courtroom climate, or I'll be charged with murder. And you know what will happen to her if that happens. You motherfucker! I want to reach into my screen and wrangle his neck. Just... her. I called it, didn't I? He threatened trucy. I called it. Oh, this is one instance where I'm not glad to be right. Ah! Ugh. What's he talking about? Well, I can ponder that later. For now, Mr. Wright, you can't possibly believe that Mr. Arable is the killer. Are you really going to send an innocent man to prison? I thought you were better than that. Well, Mr. Wright, answer me. Wow. Mr. Wright? What in the world's going on here? If you won't say anything, then... Mr. Addison Wimperson, the defense hereby... Apollo, wait! Not you too, Athena. It's just, I wasn't sure whether I should say anything, but... During that last recess, when I went to check on Mr. Wright, I overheard something I shouldn't have. I trust Maya is unharmed. Oh. It's Maya! Okay. I can't really say, but just remember, if I'm arrested or fail to obtain the treasure, there will be consequences. Consequences of the worst kind, if you catch my drift. Relax, all you have to do is ensure I get my hands on that relic. I must deliver it to my benefactor at all costs. What do they want that relic for anyway? It's something to do with an old legend. My patron seeks the great power said to be granted to whoever solves its secret. Maya? As in Maya Fey? Yes, the boss's legendary former assistant. I wouldn't say legendary. Miss Fey's being held hostage? So it seems. Why didn't you tell me as soon as you heard this? Sorry, it's just Mr. Wright spotted me before I could slip away, and made me promise not to tell you. He said it would make things more difficult if you found out. As if things weren't already hard enough. So that's why Mr. Wright was acting so strange. I had no idea. This must have been excruciating for him. Think, Justice. There's got to be something you can do.
Mr. Justice, about that last statement of yours. I believe you are in the middle of accusing the plaintiff of murdering Dr. Buff. Would you care to continue?
I'm sorry, Apollo. Really, really sorry.
What's gotten into you two?
If I accused that slime bag, I put Miss Faye's life in jeopardy. It seems you've finally caught on. I'm far too important to be accused of murder. After all, our nation's future rests squarely on my shoulders. Either I give up or... Once I present the crystal to my patron, my victory is assured. Then one day I'll become president, and then king. Huh? Okay, well actually, I was about to say that order of events is weird, but, you know what? I won't say anymore. I'll have every politician at my command. Now retract your accusation. I can't kowtow to him, but the defense would like to retract Now that is one lawyerly objection if I've ever heard one. Apollo. Dirk?
I don't know what's going on here, but a lawyer should never look the way you do right now, with defeat and resignation written all over your face.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth.
Dirk, a dragon never yields. He's right. It's all over if I give up now. If Mr. Wright's hands are tied, it's up to me to do what must be done. He saved my neck so many times. Now, it's my turn to save his. Dirk, thanks for that wake-up call.
Now that's the face of a lawyer you've got there, son.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm going to find a way to save Miss Faye and see that justice is served. That scumbag is holding Miss Faye hostage to ensure he gets the orb for his patron. And it seems said patron believes in the orb's legend. Thing is, the founder did appear when the orb was exposed to fire, just as the legend said. If the legend is true, then we've already solved the riddle, right? The dragon and tiger battle. You know what? Yeah, okay. We offered the fire, and the Holy Mother returned. But I don't think she quite descended just yet. Is there some other mechanism that can be used to change the position of the Holy Mother in that ball, or Is it, like, literal? Do I need to, like, throw this to the ground and break it? Let's go with not yet. We have not solved the riddle yet. The legend says the founder will bestow great spiritual power when she returns. But if that's true, it means we haven't solved the whole riddle yet. But how can that be? Are we missing something? Wait, maybe the part about the founder returning should be taken literally. Oh. But how would it be possible for a dead person to return to the world of the living? Alright, but we don't know the Holy Mother's name, do we? That's a missing part of the puzzle. Oh, I know. There is a way for the dead to return. Spirit channeling. Of course, you'd have to know what the founder looks like first. But the orb has revealed her face to us, so what if it's a sign that we should channel her? Given the facts, in order to solve the riddle and receive the founder's power, I'd need a spirit medium. Which, a medium is needed to obtain the power. Yeah, it's Queen Khura'in, isn't it? That's the benefactor. The ability of a medium is to channel spirits is the final key to unlocking the orb's secret. That means Mr. Addison Wimperson's patron will need one too. And once that slimy politician realizes that, he won't be able to lay a finger on Miss Fey. Oh. Oh! Everything's going to be okay, Mr. Wright. Because Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson can't afford to harm a hair on Miss Fey's head. Huh? Mr. Addison Wimperson, it seems you've chosen the wrong person to take hostage. What do you mean? Your patron seeks to solve the orb's riddle, and thereby receive great spiritual power. However, only Maya Fey can truly give them what they really want. She can? What do you mean, only Maya Fey? Think about what the return of the founder really means. We should have considered it more literally. After all, the orb was made in the kingdom of Khura'in, the birthplace of spirit mediums. Oh, I think I see now. You need to know what the deceased looks like in order to channel them. But in Khura'inism, depicting the face of the founder is taboo. However, her true face was hidden in the orb. So maybe the orb is telling us to try channeling the founder. Exactly. Through a spirit medium, the founder can quite literally return. And if the legend is true, the founder just might bestow spiritual power on someone when she does. It's like when Pearls imbued my Magatama with spiritual power. If a human could be imbued with such power in a similar manner, it is said the founder possesses immense spiritual power. Such a great feat would not necessarily be beyond her. Wait a second, then the legend is true. Do you understand now, Mr. Addison Wimperson? You are holding hostage the final key to unlocking the orb's secret. And if anything were to happen to her, the riddle would remain unsolved forever. Ah! There's always Pearl, Faye. I could simply ask her to help. If she wants money, I have plenty to offer. She's not the kind of person to be tempted by material gain, and she certainly wouldn't help you if anything were to happen to her cousin. Or maybe you'd like to go ask the Queen of Khura'in to channel the Founder for you. He could, but he'd probably get executed for requesting such a thing. It's over. Now, confess. You killed Dr. Buff, didn't you? It wasn't supposed to end this way.
Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you admitting to committing the crime?
You're my lawyer, right? Do something. It's true that I'm your lawyer, and as such, it's my job to defend you. However, defending my client isn't the only duty a lawyer has. There's something else that's equally as important. And that is finding the truth. What? Mr. Addison Wimperson, you have sought to twist the truth in the dirtiest of ways. I was complicit in your hostage-taking, but in a way I was being held hostage too. Even so, there's still hope for me to make things right. And I owe it all to you, Apollo. Mr. Wright. I can't allow a murderer to walk away scot-free. Therefore, Mr. Addison Wimperson, I must resign as your attorney. No! You know what, I'm hoping that thing just shatters in his big freak-out animation. I need that. Does this mean I'm under arrest? No! Well, I've nothing to confess. What? I said I've nothing to confess. I don't and I won't, especially not to a plebeian like you. This guy doesn't know when to give up. Besides, there's no truth to these allegations. I mean, look at the suitcase. You won't find a single print of mine on it. All that means is you wiped them off, taking care to only leave Mr. Arable's. And a very small pair of handprints. As many a great politician has said before me, no comment. In that case, try switching things up, Apollo. Look at the situation from a different angle. Is there really nothing that points to the suitcase being dropped from up above? Evidence that points to the suitcase being dropped from the second floor. Huh. If the killer pushed the suitcase from the second floor hallway over the coffee bar, that would place him right around here. Maybe, just maybe, huh? Thought of something, Apollo? I believe this piece of evidence to be connected to the dropping of the suitcase. What? Okay, so Army was unconscious on the second floor for a while. And someone was moving her? But... Ah. Okay. I'm sorry I haven't spoken for so long. It's just that my internal gears are whirring about at max speed, and some connection to dropping the suitcase. The night of the incident, Army fainted in the hallway above the coffee bar after witnessing the doctor burning the treasure. When she came to, someone was pushing a wheelchair. Oh shit, it's gotta be this, right?
Take that!
That appears to be a statement. But how is that related to this case?
On the night of the murder, Your Honor, Miss Army Buff physically left her room. That's when she saw the doctor burning the orb and subsequently passed out. Right above the coffee bar. With her there in the wheelchair, the killer wouldn't have been able to drop the suitcase down onto the doctor. Good point. However, according to Sarge, she woke up just as someone was trying to move her in her wheelchair. Ah. Someone was pushing my wheelchair. What? I was so scared I beat a hasty retreat as fast as my wheels could take me. She must have been in the killer's way and had to be moved. Isn't that right, Mr. Addison Wimperson? And if the killer had pushed the wheelchair with his bare hands, we may yet find the conclusive evidence we need. Oh my god! Someone's phone is ringing? Could someone pick that up? Because I called it! I talked about that man! Prints left on the handles of the... Yes! Exactly. Fortunately for us, that evidence has slipped right through the killer's fingers. If only he'd been able to hold on to it just a little tighter. But now, he is neither able to discard nor alter it. Honestly, that piece of evidence wasn't even supposed to be here in this courtroom today. And yet, it looks like sometimes things do get better. But this wasn't supposed to happen. No? Well, too bad, because the evidence that sped away from you that night has come back to haunt you, right here at this very trial. Ah! Wah! Your Honor, the defense's final piece of evidence is on this person.
Take that!
That's... On the night of the murder, Sarge passed out, only to come to and find that someone was pushing her wheelchair. That's when she fled back into her room. She didn't physically see a single soul after that. Not until Athena drew her out through that therapy session, that is. While the killer was able to wipe the prints on the suitcase off, the same can't be said for the prints that got away. My fellow Khura'inians. Well, Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson, try to explain your way out of this one. The podium is all yours. Ooh! Got him. Paul Addison, savior of Khura'in. I am not a crook. My political career. It can end like this. I am destined for great things. Something's wrong. This isn't real. It's a dream, no, a nightmare. Oh. Huh? What? Wait, really? Oh! Whoa, no way! Bonsai! 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 Wait, what? No, please. Wait. Don't go. No, please. Whoa! Grandpa! Yeah! 10 out of 10. I repeat, for great emphasis, 10 out of 10.
Mr. Addison Wimperson, are you all right? Bailiff, get him to the first aid station on the double. Well, this was yet another unexpected turn of events. In light of everything that's been revealed,
I'm sorry, that was just really good.
In light of everything that's been revealed, it seems the relic is indeed the Founder's orb. And it seems Mr. Paul Addison Wimperson can be considered a suspect in Dr. Buff's murder.
Apollo, I want to thank you for everything. Thanks to you, I didn't have to keep bending the truth. I don't know what I would have done without you. Don't mention it. You're amazing today, Apollo. Well, I couldn't have done it without Dirk.
A dragon never yields.
Even when wounded, a dragon bites down hard and never lets go till its dying breath. It glares, it roars, and it latches its jaws firmly onto its prey till the bitter end. That's what lawyers do to get to the truth.
A dragon never yields. Every lawyer should take that to heart.
As it seems, both sides have no further objections. Would Dirk Sadmati please take the stand? This court awards the orb to the Defiant Dragons per the stated transfer agreement.
Kalu Kalay, oh frabjous day. Thanks for the confetti, Gumshoe.
Should the Kingdom of Khura'in claim ownership, the matter may have to be deliberated in court all over again. I just hope, or shall I say pray, that I'm not the judge presiding over that one.
Indeed. A trial like that might spark an international incident. Please don't say that word. That phrase. It's a scary phrase. Still, there are bigger and more momentous things astir in the air. The revolution. Dirk's really serious about this.
This court is adjourned.
Nice work, son. We've finally broken through the last obstacle on the road to revolution. Revolution? It just doesn't seem real.
Yes, well, to think you actually defeated the Fighting Phoenix. All I can say is, that's my boy!
Well, Mr. Wright did have his hands tied. Who knows if I'd had won if he'd been able to fight me head on. I see it more like you saved Mr. Wright. Saved him? Yeah, remember what he said? He didn't have to bend the truth anymore, and it was all thanks to you. I don't know about that. Still, I guess it is kinda nice to be appreciated. Mr. Dirk? Now that the Holy Mother's face has been revealed, are you going to have a spirit medium try channeling her? I, for one, would love to see the return of the legendary founder. Yeah, just think about it. Being able to speak to someone right out of the history books.
Unfortunately, it's not that easy.
What? Why?
A face isn't enough. You also need the true name of the one you're attempting to channel.
Oh, right. Pearl mentioned something like that.
And the founder's true name is only known to the priestess who's been crowned queen. In short, the only living person who knows it is the current queen of Khura'in, Khura'in.
Oh, so without her help, we won't be seeing the founder anytime soon. Oh, that's no fun. So, Dirk, what will you do now?
First, I'll start by tracing the route by which the orb came into Dr. Buff's hands.
Since we now know it was Paul Addison that asked the doctor to study it, isn't he the one who stole it?
No, a political nobody like him couldn't get anywhere near the orb, let alone steal it. He must have had inside help. My money is on someone connected to the royal family.
Oh, right. You said something to that effect back at the cave.
Whoever it may be, we need to expose their dirty scheme to the light of day.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Wright has plenty of information, courtesy of his dirty client. He might be able to shed some light on this. Private Justice!
Oh. That was fine work you did at the trial today. You did your sergeant proud.
Back at you, Sarge. It took real courage to leave your room like that. It's all thanks to you and Corps Woman Sykes. Oh, I nailed it this time. With my siege defense over, I can finally sally forth.
But the battle's only just begun. One for me and me alone to fight.
To lose your mother and then your father. What a terrible thing to endure. Yeah, and being wheelchair-bound doesn't help. Private Justice, I've been thinking. It's about time I stood on my own 2 feet. After all, I no longer have Papa to coddle me. Huh? I'm afraid I don't follow. Take a good look, soldier. This is one small step for man, and one giant leap for me. Hold my drone for me, would you, Private Justice?
Yes, sir. What is she up to?
Whoa. She's standing.
What's this? Sarge, you mean your legs? They're...
The doctor told me I was ready to walk again months ago. But if I admitted I could walk, I knew I'd have to leave the house. So I faked it.
Makes sense, but...
I kept pretending I couldn't walk. But I know Papa is watching over me now, and I'd hate to disappoint him. So from this day forth, I'm going to march forward on my own 2 feet. What a brave kid, trying to move forward like this. But it must be so hard this soon after her father's death.
Don't you ever stop. You just keep on walking, comrade. Stay brave, because there will be days when you'll want to stop. But I have faith you'll find a way to muster the strength to push through them.
Yeah, you can do it. Hey, Daddy's back. Mr. Wright, what's that look on his face for? Oh, Apollo. Is everything all right with Miss Faye? She's safe, for now. For now? Well then, we better go save her, quick. Where is she anyway? I'm afraid I have some bad news. Huh? Maya's not here in the States. She's still in Khura'in. And she's still being held hostage by the mastermind behind this whole thing. The mastermind? That's right. Paul Addison Wimperson was nothing more than a pawn. Maya's true abductor is in the kingdom of Khura'in. What? I don't understand, Mr. Wright. What in the world's going on over there? But as shocking as that news was, it was only the beginning. The beginning of something big. Big enough to shake Khura'in to its very core. Revolution. I was being swept up in a mighty wave that nothing could stop. Of course, at the time, I had no idea what the days ahead had in store for us. To be continued. Oh, perfect end. Ah. Yep, I'll gladly save. Here. And we'll return to Games menu. Oh, man. That was a great little thing there. I feel like we just completed a whole entire case, but no, we're only halfway done with the 5th case. That's the halfway mark. So yes, just as I predicted, the whole game's going to Khura'in to probably overthrow the Khura'in regime. So, I'll be honest. From where I'm standing right now, I think there is a 100% possibility that Inga is the awful man who did the big murders and made things horrible for everyone and is going down. But I cannot actually say the same for Khura'in. Is she benefiting heavily from the old queen's assassination so that she could become the new queen? Yes. Is she turning a blind eye to the obvious injustices that Inga is carrying out? Also yes. But I don't know, there's just this tiny little thing in the back of my head saying maybe I need to learn the full story before deciding on her. Inga is already a proven buttface and I'm looking forward to taking him down. And honestly, I think I know where this is going. I'm pretty sure before this is out, both Nayuta and Reva will be on our side and helping us take down the Khura'in regime. That's where I think this is ultimately going, because after all, there was talk about Nayuta himself being held hostage of sorts. I think. I forget the exact phrasing, but basically he's being compelled to act the way that he is. I think. Yeah, I like Army. Army's a cutie. I really like her camouflage pattern pajamas. That is splendid. Yeah, just great character designs all around. And it was a treat, an absolute treat to return to Khura'in Village, see the same sights, explore new sights. That whole cave section was great. If there's one real complaint I can levy against Ace Attorney, well, there are two complaints really. The first is that, yeah, sometimes the formula feels a bit too static. Like, I know, if you change too much it stops being Ace Attorney, but all the same, this little, like, side adventure with more bespoke art and more active involvement in the characters and how they interacted with the environment was just really cool. And plus, just characters talking to each other, you know? Bouncing off each other, talking about themselves and their opinions, and not like, the events of a murder or what have you. I just really like that. It was a breath of fresh air. I want to see more of that in future Ace Attorney games. The other complaint is that, yeah, sometimes it's too easy to know who the real culprit is. I'm gonna have egg on my face if it turns out that Inga is somehow innocent. I doubt it, though. I really doubt it. But you know what I mean. It's just, I usually prefer the cases where it's a true last-minute mystery until the final moments, and you just don't know who it is. There have been a few like that in the series. I don't think I could name them right now. Maybe the Berry Big Circus one? I forget, but I think I was bouncing between Mo the Clown, Woodman, and Acro quite a bit in that one, I think. Well, I digress. Next time, ladies and gentlemen, we're in for some huge things. Oh man. So, that actually raises a question. How is this going to begin? Obviously, the gang is going to fly over to Khura'in and look for leads on Maya, but... I spent all this time assuming that the final case's murder mystery would be solving the assassination of the Queen, but... how's that investigation gonna even begin? It's not like the gang would be allowed to look around in the castle, you know? I mean, unless Dirk's revolution makes a big window of opportunity. Huh. I will say, though, that from where I'm standing, I think Spirit of Justice overall has the strongest main plot line of any Ace Attorney. The through line in this game is spectacular. Honestly, I may walk away from this saying it is an equal to the great Ace Attorney games. I thought Great Ace Attorney was the absolute peak and nothing else would be able to match it. But then this game came along. How about that? Anyway, I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more Spirit of Justice. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.